right. Today, Ms. Michelle put on our class tag a story about two crocodiles who are brothers. And the name of the book was The Puddle, Pail. And a lady named Elisa Cleveland wrote the book. Do you guys remember what the story was about? It was about two brothers, a brother named Saul and a brother named Ernest. And what kind of animals were they? Right, they were crocodiles. And they did something in this book. Can you remember what they did? They collected stuff. And collecting stuff just means maybe you like feathers or rocks. And what you try to do is get different kinds or shapes or colors of something you like. And that is collecting. So they collected stuff. But what was different about these brothers is Saul collected things that you might find on the ground, like rocks and string. He found flowers, seashells. But his brother Ernest, he liked to collect things that he saw in the pail. When he looked in his pail, he would see things like fluffy clouds, or he would see the moon and stars. So Saul looked for stuff that he might find on the ground, but Ernest looked for things that were more in the sky that he saw in the pail. And we'll get to in a minute why he thinks he saw it in the pail. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you some pictures, and you're going to help me decide which brother you think would have collected this. All right, string. Which brother do you think would have collected this? You're right, Ernest. He liked to collect things he finds on the ground. And string is something you could find on the ground. How about fluffy clouds? Saul didn't like collecting those, but Ernest did because he said he could see the clouds in his bucket. So let's put that right there. He collected clouds. How about, let's see, the sun and a shadow reflection? Saul didn't collect that because he couldn't just find that on the ground. But Ernest, who thinks he sees things in his bucket, he did want to collect shadows of trees and shadows of the sun. How about rocks? You're right. Ernest doesn't like rocks, but Saul, his brother, did. How about stars and moons in the sky? You're right. Ernest liked to collect those because he thought he could see those in his bucket. And the moon, and the shadow of the moon reflecting. You're right, that was an Ernest collection because he thought he could see that in his bucket. And we have flowers. How about the flowers? You're right, that would be Saul. He liked to collect flowers. How about feathers? Ernest didn't like to collect feathers, but his brother Saul did. And how about a reflection? Oh, this looks like another reflection of maybe the moon. Do you think Saul liked reflections, or was that Ernest? You're right. Ernest was the one that could see reflections in his pail. Okay, we have three more. Rubber bands. If you remember in the story, Saul was walking and he saw some rubber bands, and he thought that would be good to go in his collection. And we have, if you look here in the water, there is a reflection of the rocks and the trees in the water. See it? That is called a reflection. Saul didn't go and try to collect reflections, but Ernest did. So let's put that right there. And my last one was seashells. Do you remember in the story who liked to collect seashells? You're right, it was Saul. Even though the two brothers liked to collect different things, they were still brothers, weren't they? And they just liked different things. Saul liked things that he could find, maybe on the ground, while Ernest liked to find things that he said he saw in his pail. Now, do you really think he could see rocks and the stars and the moons and the trees and clouds in his pail? He kind of did, because he saw those as a reflection. And a reflection, it just kind of like shines down onto something. So he had a bucket of water, and in his pail, when he looked, he would see the reflections in his pail. So that's why he wanted to collect those things. But there was one thing both of these brothers did like to collect. Do you remember what? Blackberries. They both liked collecting blackberries. And at the end of the story, that's what they did. They went and they collected blackberries to put in their pail. Oh, I forgot to mention to you. Do you remember Ernest, what he did? He drew a picture of these things to put in his pail. Ms.Michelle completely forgot about that because I did not read it to you today. So, this was the story of the Puddle Pail and our two brothers who like to collect and the things that they like to collect. So, I have a question. What is something that you like to collect? Is it something maybe you could put in a pail? Or do you think you like things that are more reflections, like Ernest? Kind of curious what you guys would like to collect. Or maybe after hearing this story, you might want to start collecting. So, that was an activity from the Puddle Pail. I hope you guys like that book because it is a good book. All right, see you later.